You know, this small piece of stone could fit right in the palm of your hand, but don't let its size fool you. This thing is a time capsule, a message from our ancestors sent over 25,000 years ago. So today, let's unravel the story of the Apollo 11 cave stones, what turns out to be the oldest figurative art ever found in Africa.
All right, let's get a closer look. Drawn in charcoal on this little fragment of quartzite, we see this mysterious animal-like figure. It's faint, it's ancient, and it's one of the most profound clues we have about the minds of our distant ancestors. You've got to wonder, right? What was going through their minds when they created this?
And right away, you're hit with this puzzle. The figure feels familiar, but at the same time, it's so strange. This incredible object forces us to ask a really fundamental question. What exactly are we looking at here?
Okay, so to even start to answer that, we've got to break down the figure itself and see what clues we can dig up.
This really helps us unpack the mystery. So you've got this feline-like body, right? Probably suggesting a predator they knew well. But then, look closer at those hind legs. They look almost human. And on its head, you can just make out two curved horns, maybe from an oryx antelope. So this isn't just an animal, it's a composite creature, a being born not from observation, but from pure imagination.
Okay, so where in the world did this mysterious stone even come from? Well, the story of its discovery is almost as fascinating as the object itself.
For that, we're heading to the remote Huns Mountains in southwestern Namibia. This is a seriously rugged, ancient landscape, a place where clues to our deepest past have been hidden away for millennia. I want you to just picture this environment for a second. The rock shelter is perched about 20 meters above a dry gorge, so it was this great natural defense against the elements. And get this, for over 100,000 years, this very spot was a home to our ancestors. So back in 1969, an archaeologist named W.E. Wendt finds the first piece of the puzzle. While he's working, he's listening to the news of NASA's moon landing on his shortwave radio. Totally inspired, he names the site Apollo 11 Cave. But the story doesn't end there. Oh no. 3 years later, his team goes back and finds another fragment buried deep in the cave floor. And this is that amazing aha moment. The two pieces, found 3 years apart, fit together perfectly. Suddenly, what were just these fragmented markings became a complete figure, and the true importance of this find just snapped right into focus. Okay, so we've got the where, but that just brings up the next big question. How in the world do scientists know when it was made? Well, the answer is this really clever method called indirect dating. See, you can't date the drawing or the stone directly, but what you can do is use radiocarbon dating on all the organic material, charcoal, bone, in the soil layer where the stones were buried. And that gives you a solid minimum age for when the object was left there. And the age they came up with, wow, it is just staggering. These drawings were made approximately 25,500 years ago, deep in the Middle Stone Age. Okay, let's try to wrap our heads around that number. Our species, Homo sapiens, showed up in Africa well over 100,000 years ago. Now, we have found older abstract art, like an incredible 100,000-year-old paint workshop in Blombos Cave. But the Apollo 11 stones are still the oldest figurative art that actually depicts a recognizable figure from the entire continent. All right, so now that we've got the what, the where, and the when all sorted out, let's circle back to the figure itself and really try to explore what it might mean. So there's actually a name for this kind of creature, a theranthrope. It's just a being that combines human and animal characteristics. And the very existence of a theranthrope suggests something way beyond just drawing the world around them. It points toward mythology, storytelling, and maybe even some really complex shamanistic beliefs, about transforming into animals. And get this, these stones weren't just sitting there by themselves. Archaeologists also found 6 other painted fragments, tools made from stone that had been brought from far away, and even pieces of ostrich eggshell that might have been used as little containers for red ochre paint. And over time, later art, like paintings and engravings, were added. This place wasn't just a shelter. It was a sacred site, a hub of ritual for thousands and thousands of years. So what's the big deal? What does all of this really mean? Why is this small, 25,000-year-old drawing so important to understanding who we are? Well, first off, this is what's called art mobilier, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's small and portable.
For hunter-gatherers who were always on the move, an object you could carry with you wasn't just another possession. It was like a transportable piece of their culture, a story they could literally hold in their hands.
But the real deep meaning here connects this idea of being behaviorally modern. See, it's one thing to be anatomically modern, to have the body of a modern human. It's a whole other thing to be behaviorally modern, to have a mind capable of abstract thought, of creating symbols, of imagining worlds that don't even exist. This is the cognitive leap that basically gives birth to storytelling itself.
And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. This little stone drawing of a mythical creature is proof positive that 25,000 years ago, our ancestors had minds just like ours. They could think symbolically. They had culture. They had an inner world that was just buzzing with imagination. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. Long before the first cities, long before writing, people were creating art that expressed these incredibly complex ideas. They weren't just surviving. They were artists, thinkers, and dreamers. And that ancient creative spark connects directly to us today. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When someone, maybe 25,000 years from now, digs up our stuff, what will our art say about the dreams of our time?